So yun guys, no? Nagbabalik ulit tayo dito sa pag-discuss natin. So ang topic naman natin ngayon ay Occupational Health and Safety. So ito yung mga safety procedures, yan yung mga kailangan nyo sundan para sa kaligtasan natin. So yun, ito ito pinakauna niya. After reading this information sheet, you must be able to know the different precautions before initiating action towards work. Apply the OHS at introduction. So introduction 1. Have you ever walked across a carpeted floor and gotten a shock when you touch a doorknob, table, counter, or even another person? That little shock you got was a result of static electricity. It was also many times what is needed to destroy some computer components. So yung pag daw naranasan natin yan ay daw yung result ng static electricity. Pag daw nahawak tayo sa doorknob, table, counter, or sa ibang tao, ano daw yun? Cause daw yun ng static electricity. So ito naman, you see, humans can't feel a static shock until it is several thousand volts strong, but it takes less than 30 volts to damage a sensitive computer component, such as a stick of RAM or a processor. So yun, so tayo daw mga tao, hindi daw natin mararamdaman ang isang shock pag hindi 1000 plus volts ang lakas niya. Pero pag daw sa mga components ng computer natin, kahit less than 30 volts, pwede na siyang ma-damage ang example dito is RAM or processor. So maalin doon, pwede na siyang ma-damage. So sunod tayo dun guys. Sorry guys, medyo masakit lang ng muno ko. Kakagising ko lang kasi. So diretso na agad tayo dito. So that's why computer technicians and home computer builders have to guard their computers against the deadly ravages of static electricity, as well as take steps to avoid injury to yourself. A shock that you can't even feel can seriously damage your home-built computer before you're even finished building it. So yun, kahit daw hindi mo nararamdaman yung shock na yun, pero yung mga computer natin, sensitive daw sila. So kahit less than, kasabi nga kanina, kahit less than 30 volts, dama nila yan. So yun, next naman tayo. So yan, Occupational Safety and Health, or OSH, is a working system that prevents illness and injury. It is done by recognizing and identifying hazards and risks. Changes in technology or work processes are likely to bring about the biggest changes in computer users' exposure to hazards. So yan yung parang organization nila, OSH. So mga nagpe-prevent ng mga injury and illness. So yan, ito, managing health and safety at work. To achieve safety and health in your workplace, you need to follow the 3 think safe steps. So ito yung mga steps na para hindi mataas ang exposure natin sa mga injuries and damages. So ito, first step, spot the hazard or hazard identification. So yan, so obvious naman sa title. Tingnan mo muna yung pwede maging cause ng na accident. Spot the hazards, mga hazardous na mga bagay. A hazard is anything that could hurt you and or other people. It can harm the safety and health of people and can damage tools and equipment. So yun, ayun ang hazard guys. Pwede siya makasakit sa sarili mo or sa ibang tao. At pwede rin siya makadamage ng ibang tools and equipment. So ayun yung hazard guys. So, spot the hazard yan. I-spot nyo yung mga posibleng maging cause ng damages. So being alert at all times is good and is very useful in identifying hazards. In this step, we identify things that could cause illness and injury. As some hazards cannot be easily identified and are not fairly obvious, like chemicals or radiations, being keen is a must. So yun, mayroong mga hazards guys na hindi mo agad-agad mapapansin, katulad ng radiation tsaka mga chemicals. So True naman guys, may instances talaga na hindi natin pansin kung ano yung kung saan yung radiation, chemicals, hindi natin yung napapansin guys. So, may gina yung ingat na lang tayo lagi sa mga ganang pagkakataon. Then ito, in identifying hazards, you must know the different classification or types. They could be physical, mechanical, and or electrical, chemical, biological, and psychological environment hazards. So, yun. Ano-ano nga ba itong mga to? Yung mga classification or types ng mga hazards. So, yun dito. Una, physical. This can be seen or recognized. It includes floors, stairs, platforms, ladders, prolonged noise, vibration, heat, cold, ventilation, and air quality. So, by the word physical, guys, ito yung nakikita mo, nahahawakan mo, nararamdaman mo. Ito yung physical, guys. So, I know, floors, stairs, platforms. So, iba't ibang mga physical na hazardous. So, katulad daw ng hagdaan, ng sahig, ng hagdanan, ng platforms, yan, mga ladders, vibration. So, kung ano yung nakikita at nararamdaman mo, nahawakan mo. So, yun ang physical hazard. So, pangalawa naman, mechanical and or electrical. So, this includes pressure vessels, electricity, equipment, cranes, and machinery. So, yun. Yung mga machine, mga electricity, ay yung mga equipment ay yung mechanical and or electrical. So, ayun na nga, by the word mechanical, sa mga machine yan. So, ang electrical sa electricity. Bubulol pa eh. So, pangatlo naman, chemical. Examples are acids and poisons, cleaning agents, dust, fumes, and explosive devices. So, sa chemical naman, ito yung mga poison, mga liquid component, yung mga acid, cleaning agents, dust, fumes, explosive devices. So, ayun ang chemical hazards. So, next one is biological. This includes viruses, insects, vermin, or pests, and bacteria. So, biological. So, ayun yung mga virus, mga bacteria, insects, vermin. So, yan. And the last one is psychosocial. But dito psychological. Psychosocial. So, anyways, psychosocial environment, workplace stresses arising from a variety of sources or examples. So, yun. Then, when doing the hazard identification step, you need to coordinate with the people working around you, like your co-employees, supervisors. You can ask them about the task they find physically difficult and awkward. So, yan. It is very important that you take note of every hazard you could identify. Be sure not to just look out for obvious hazards. Consider those that have potentials. So, yun. So, kailangan daw natin na pagmasdan yung mga hazard na pwede mo namang ma-identify yan, madali ma-identify. Excuse me. Remember that not all injuries are immediately recognized like those that are caused by long-term exposure to chemicals or radiations. Going through the records of injury that you or your colleagues had can also help you identify a hazard as you could understand its causes. So, yun. So, pangalawa naman, assess the risk. Risk assessment. Risk is the likelihood that a hazard will cause injury or ill health to anyone or near a workplace. In assessing risks, you work on the possibility or extent of harm that a hazard may bring. Knowing how likely the hazard could harm and how badly it could harm is an essential part of this step. So, yun. You make the judgment about the seriousness of each hazard that you have identified in step 1 and decide which hazard requires the most urgent attention. So, yan. Requires the most urgent attention. Kung decide daw ba kayo kung ano yung mga hazard na dapat agapan na agad, hindi na pinapatagal pa. So ayan, there are also factors that you need to consider when assessing risk. It is important that you know the nature of the hazard posing the risk, the hazards combinations, the types of injuries that you consider to be the risks and result. Risk assessment factors also cover the workplace wherein hazards are found to be present. You also assess the layout of the workplace and the people working on it, especially their working habits and postures. In addition to, you have to check for all of the existing control measures implemented within the workplace. The use of the risk assessment table is a way of assessing risks. Include Included in the table are the consequences like the injuries or illness and the extent or degree of chances to which these illnesses and injuries may be experienced. So, yan. This is the 5S, guys. So, ito yung 5S. 5S is the Japanese methodology for making more efficient workplace. It was developed by Hiroyuki Hirano in Japan in the late 1980s. It was so called because of the 5 different phases which all start with S in the original Japanese language. Applying 5S on your computer can help you better organize your files. So yan. So alam niyo naman, para sa ikakaalam niyo guys, favorite ko ang Japan. Guys, so gusto pumunta sa Japan, kaya basta may Japan na topic, sobrang interesado ako, gusto kong matuto, gusto kong malaman ko ano yung nangyayari sa Japan. So check natin dito kung ano ba to. So yan, 5S. So unang S ay Seiri, sort or sort. Seiri or sort. This first phase is the know what. You must have a clear understanding of what files are needed and what aren't that much. Seiri requires critical sorting, inspection, and identification of files. There is a need for you to eliminate duplicates and unnecessary files. Therefore, you would need to classify the files as waste or valuable. Delete all files that are necessary. So, sort. So, the word sort parang kinakategorize niya kung ano ba yung unnecessary or valuable na mga files. So, from valuable to parang sinosort niya, sinusunod-sunod niya kung ano yung mga madalas mo lang siguro magamit or hindi mo na nagagamit. So, yun. Ayun yung kailangan mo lang i-delete. So, the second S is Seton. Set in order. Seton reminds that there is a place for everything and everything must be in place. So, yun, nag-gets nyo sana yun. Reminds that there is a place for everything and everything must be in place. So, lahat ng mga bagay ay may ikalulugar yan at lahat ng bagay ay dapat nasa lugar. So, yun. Ayun. There's a place for everything. Lahat ng bagay ay may lugar or may specific na nandun lang sila. There's a place for everything and everything must be in place. So, yun. After you have classified the files in the first phase, your next task now is to envision and to organize. It is advisable to assign a position for everything so you can easily find the files when you need them. So yun, na-organize niya yung mga files mo kung saan siya nakalagay. So you may create the 5 folders on your documents and sort your files according to their uses. You may have the following folders: inbox, excuse me guys, designate this folder for all unprocessed files. Action items, assign this folder for files that are to be acted upon or processed in a while. Example, files to be uploaded or filled out. On hold, let this folder be placed for items that are pending. Current projects, allocate this folder for all the files related to the active projects. This folder may contain subfolders or for files that you are currently working on. Archive, this folder is intended for all files and or projects that have been completed for future references. Be sure not to store files that are no longer recorded, as it may only occupy space. You may do the same for your desktop, but label those folders differently according to files you are about to save. You may have a folder for all your application inks and shortcuts. So sunod na S naman tayo. Number 3 is say so or shine. As you have classified and sorted your files that are still needed, keeping your computers neat and clean is the next step. It is not a one-time task but rather an ongoing and daily job. It is very important to make sure that all parts of your computer, like screen, keyboard, cables, and main box, are all free from dust to ensure that they won't have any problem or malfunction. Remember that a clean screen reduces glare. Dust-free computer can keep cooler, reducing the chance of fatal error and data loss. So yan. Ito naman daw sa say so guys, kailangan natin maintain yung cleanliness ng PC natin. Lahat ng PC components natin. Screen, keyboard, CPU, motherboard, lahat. Kailangan dust-free siya or clean siya. So, para hindi mag-malfunction or magkaroon ng defect, damage. So, yun. Iwasan natin yun. Ito namang next S natin is seiketsu. Pwede yung seiketsu or seikets. Seikets. So, ayan. Standardized seikets. Setting up standard for developing file structures and methods is the fourth among the 5S. For example, you set a retention guide for deleting files. You decide to delete files as soon as they reach their third year. The guidelines that you would do would be according to your preference and needs. So, yan. Parang standard requirements siya. Among the 5S, for example, is yan. Parang standard siya. Ito naman sunod ay shikutse or sustain. This could be the hardest of the pace. You may have all the four aforementioned being done, but you may neglect doing this as this requires continuous action. In this pace, doing the first four must be habit. So yun, next naman tayo. Personal protective equipment. It refers to protective clothing, helmets, goggles, or other gear designed to protect the wearer's body or clothing from injury by electrical hazards, heat, chemicals, and infections for job-related occupational safety and health purposes. So yan na yung ayun yung personal protective equipment. So by the word equipment, so ayun yung sinusuot, ginagamit, mga safety para ba tawagin ito? Para sa safety, mga goggles, helmets, so siguro mga gloves, yan. So PPE can also be used to protect the working environment from pesticide application, pollution, or infection from the worker. So yun, prevent daw ng PPE napoprotektahan din daw pala ng PPE ang working environment from pesticide application, pollution, or infection. So yun, madami siyang purpose guys. So students, even teacher, during their laboratory period should require the use of personal protective equipment. Some of these are goggles, large spectacles with shields around the rims for protecting the eyes from dust, excessive light, wind, etc. So ayan, ginagamit siya sa face or sa mata natin, ng goggles. So para mayroon siya shield, excessive light, o yan, o protektahan yung mata nyo dyan sa mga hazard na yan. Rubber sole, a special type of shoes used to prevent electric shock and for waterproofing and insulating purposes. So yan, siya, parang medyo immune siya sa electric shock, hindi siya pagdadalaw yan ng electricity. So apron, a garment worn over the front of the body as a protection for one's scalp. A covering for the face to prevent the inhaling or absorbing dust and other chemicals. So ayun yung dust mask. Para siyang para siyang sa ginagamit sa motor, guys. Para hindi pumasok yung mga dumi. So, gloves, the covering material with a separate sheath for each finger used for sheath or sheath. For each finger used for hand protection. So, hand protection siya. So, ayan, those na. So, dito naman tayo sa anti-static and safety precautions. The little shock you experience while you are walking across a carpeted floor or touch doorknob, a person's static electricity is the discharge of electricity between two objects with different electrical potential. Humans can feel static shock until so ayun nga, tulad nung kanina, 30 volts, just like so ito, ayun naman yung safety rules dito, hardware safety rules. When installing, removing computer hardware and other peripherals, when possible, try to avoid working in carpeted areas. Carpeting greatly increases the static build-up within your body. So, kung kaya naman daw hindi maggawa ng hardware installing or removing sa mga carpeted areas, so iwasan na lang natin kasi ang carpeting greatly increases static build-up within your body. So, na-increase daw yung static build-up sa mga body natin doon pag tayo nasa carpeting or sa carpeted areas. Always use an anti-static wrist strap when working on the computer except when working on monitors. More about that below. One end is an elastic band that fits around your wrist and which is connected to an alligator clip by a wire. The clip connects to a metal part of the computer chassis, which equalizes the voltage between you and the computer, thus avoiding static spark. So, yun. Gagamit daw lagi tayo ng anti-static wrist strap. So, para use din tayo sa mga electricity na nagbi-build up sa ating katawan. So, gagamit lagi tayo ng anti-static wrist strap. So, sunod naman, better anti-static kits also include a rubberized anti-static mat. This is placed below the computer while you're working. This not only provides better anti-static protection but also protects your table from scratches. Another option is to use anti-static gloves when handling delicate electronic components. Always grasp a metal part of the computer chassis with your bare hand before you touch anything inside. Do this even if you are wearing an anti-static protection. So, lagi ito tayong nahawak sa metal part ng computer natin gamit ang ating kamay. So, walang gloves, walang kahit anong taklob. So, yun ang gagawin natin. So, ito. Next naman is always handle electronic components by a non-conducting metallic or non-metallic edge. Don't touch the pins or other connectors. So, yun. Huwag hawakan ng ibang pin or mga other connectors. Excuse me. Next naman natin is never plug an ATX power supply into AC power unless it is connected either to computer's motherboard or to a dummy test load. So, huwag natin ilalagay ang ATX power supply sa AC power. Always use a UL approved surge protector or an interruptible power supply that incorporates surge and spike protection. So, yan. Never eat, drink, or smoke while working on a computer. So, wag kakain, iinom, or mag-iyosi sa pag nagagawa ng isang computer. So, yun. Iwasan nyo lahat yan, guys. Yan, lahat na yan. Huwag nyo gagawin yan, lahat na yan. The most important safety of rule of all, always be careful. So, yun. ABC. Always be careful. So, dito naman tayo next, common wire network cable safety procedure. So, ang unang procedure ay plan it out. Always have a safety plan. This plan should include emergency activities, evacuations, and meet building codes. Not only will this help should there be any issues, but also conform to any legalities. So, yan, plan it out, magplano na lahat lahat ng details, planuhin nyo para in case na may emergency. So, may plano na kayo. Don't DIY. So, ang DIY guys, alam nyo naman, do it yourself. So, ayun yung mga bagay na pwede tayo ang magawa. Hindi yung parang may mga factory, mga manufactured, so mga ganon. Katulad ng mga tools, di ba? Minsan yung iba, DIY natin. Halimbawa, a hanger. So, DIY natin, pwede tayo magawa ng hanger sa sarili natin. Tapos yung iba, parang ganon lang din sa mga tools. So, don't DIY. Do-it-yourself projects are becoming more and more popular with the rise of YouTube and other online advice. So, ayun nga. Matulad nga na sinabi ko, sikat na tong DIY na to. Sa YouTube, madami na siyang video kung paano mag-DIY. So, yun. Nonetheless, we suggest contacting a professional electrician, network technician who is extremely familiar and experienced with cable wire installation and handling. So, yun. Kailangan pa rin natin mag-hire ng professional electrician, network technician, yung talagang experienced na siya, sanay na siya sa mga ganito. So, yan. Anytime you are dealing with electricity or other wire current, it can be a dangerous job. Electricians are trained and understand safety protocols and guidelines. While they may be more expensive, their expertise will save money in the long run, whether it's a small installation in your home or a big project in the workplace. Plus, you really can put a price tag on safety and health. So, yun. Ito, pinakamahalaga dyan, no? You really can't put a price tag on safety and health. So, walang katumbas na pera ang kaligtasan at ang iyong health. So, ayun pinakamahalagang line dyan para sa akin. Walang katumbas na pera ang kaligtasan mo at ang buhay mo. So, yun. Pag daw nag-deal tayo sa mga electricity or other wire currents, isa siyang ano ba tawag dito? Delikado na job kasi pwede kang mamatay, pwede kang makuryente, pwede kang ma-shock, pwede kang kahit ano, ang dami. So, sabi dito, mas maigi na rin mag-hire ng electrician kasi trained sila, alam nila mga guidelines and protocols. Medyo pricey siya, pero walang tutumbas sa walang kapantay na pera ang health at ang iyong safety. So, yun. Two-way street. Safety is a top priority for us. The same should be true at your place of business prior to installation. Be sure to inspect machinery and equipment to see if it is running properly. While faulty wiring often leads to safety hazards, so does malfunctioning equipment reduce risk by ensuring your equipment is up to date. Not only that, but the tools used for wire and cable handling matter too. Here's a quick list of safety tools that help minimize electrical risk. So, yun. So, ayun yun. So, know your surroundings. Wire and cable installation can sometimes lead you to some obscure locations and positions. Those can include various heights, concealed spaces, underground areas near water. So, yan. Cable installation, kailangan alam niyo yung location na pinanggagawan nyo. Scope out your workplace knowledge. So, and identify any potential hazards first before you begin a project. Also, diagnose the building's guidelines and restrictions. Some safety precautions may seem reasonable and obvious, while others may actually be mandatory. So, kailangan nyo muna pagmasdan ang workplace environment nyo, kung meron bang posibleng maging hazard. Yan, kailangan nyo pagmasdan siya. So, gear up. Remember to always wear a protective clothing when handling cable and wire. There is always potential for sparkling or other electrical risks. Sport non-conductive gloves and protect your eyes with proper safety eyewear. Flame retardant clothes are a good investment for those who maintain cable and wiring frequently. Be sure to wear equipment that is necessary for your building or work area. This could include hard hats for impossible falling materials, specific shoes to prevent slipping, and any other articles of clothing to reduce risk. So, gear up. So, kailangan natin magsuot ng mga gears. Protective gears, yan, mga protective eyewear, safety eyewears, mga electric resistant clothes, yan. Testing in progress. So, after successful configuration, before reopening and allowing public access to the workspace, be sure to retest everything out multiple times. Just because something is connected does not mean it will function properly. Testing and examining every step of the process will actually reduce time spent on the project. Plus, your workspace is easily accessible if any changes need to be made. So, yun. Pagkakatapos nyo gumawa ng isang proyekto, guys, kailangan nyo agad siyang i-testing. Testing is a must. So, kailangan nyo laging i-testing kung ayos na ba talaga yung pagkakagawa nyo. So, laging testing natin. Kaya, tsaka kung may papalitan, nasa workplace pa rin kayo. So, alam nyo na yun bago kayo umalis ng workplace. So, yun. Pwede nyo siya palitan. So, guys, magkakaroon na tayo ng short quiz. So, gagawa ako ng mga answer ng mga questions dito sa notepad ko, and then try to answer it for 30 minutes. So, gagawa lang ako, guys. Chill lang kayo dyan. So, wait lang. Hanap lang tayo ng matatanong dito. So, off ko muna yung sa OBS ko. Baka kasi makita nyo eh. No. Pero hanap tayo ng tanong dito. So, ano lang ta? Up to, ano lang siya, guys? Up to 10. Yan. So, number 1 natin, ano ba maganda? So, ito, wait lang. So, dito, sa number 1, give the So, yan. Sagutin nyo lang yan. Shout out to the world. Yan. Dali lang to, guys. Three, 4, 5, 6. So, yan. So, ang 5 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, ang 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ang 5 to 10 ay ito guys, ibibigay nyo yung common wire network cable safety. This is cable safety. So, gagawa pa ako ng isang notepad para dun ko ilalagay yung sagot para makikita nyo kung tama ba kayo o hindi. Wait. So, makapag-review pa kayo habang nagagawa ko dito. Mabala ko kila common wire. Network cable safety. So, ayan, okay na siya guys. So, i-show ko na sa inyo tong show ko na sa inyo tong Pelarigo killer. Pelarigo killer. Wait lang guys Pelarigo killers. So, yan. Bakit wala ka na? So, wait nga lang. Ito pala. Yan. So, ayan yung quiz nyo guys. So, mamaya, babalikan ko kayo after 30 minutes. So, tapos ito ng 1 hour and 10 minutes. So, bye bye guys. Kakain lang ako. Diyan muna kayo. Babush! So, yun guys, no? So, siguro naman tapos na kayo. So, ang sagot dito sa mga tanong na to ay ito. Papakita lang natin. Yan. Yan ang sagot. So, checkin nyo na lang siya guys kung tama kayo or hindi. So, yun. Sana may natutunan kayo dito. Thank you and goodbye.